Hey, friends and family. Hey, loved ones. Hey, fools, magicians and alchemists and gardeners and artists, devils and demons and challengers and angels and saints and all the love that we are. All the roles we get to play and all the ways we get to play them in every single way. Love always, 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 always. Love always, always. So, just wanted to get on here and share today. I don't know what actually wants to be said today. I don't really have anything prepared or planned, but I've just been going and continuing. I've been continuing on my journey and chopping wood and carrying water and playing and practicing and participating and engaging through life, through my own life force. Yeah. So that's interesting. I wanted to share a little bit of something that I read last week in the last couple days as well in Letting Go, because it related to some things I was working through and playing with around blame and around apathy and around grief and all of that. And so, yeah, we'll see what wants to come in and be shared around that. But yeah, it's just like this journey of healing and revealing and growing and remembering and becoming who we are, like through our awakening, through this discovery and remembering who we are, remembering. So we've been dismembered and we've been cut off. We've been cut off from our connections, from our true authentic connections, from our true self, from our true lives, our true lives. Yeah, and been given a substitution. And like we've chosen different surrogate parents or surrogate roles, like to play for ourselves and each other, and like also like have those like institutions or those organizations or those tribal groups or whatever that have replaced our soulful life or our soul made life. And of course, like, yeah, that's just, I mean, what we filled up with the space that was made, and because we knew something was missing from our life, And so, yeah, we've been projecting a lot of our power and a lot of our own pain onto external authority or our external circumstances, and blaming, like playing the blame game, the shame blame game, or riding the blame train, around in circles, like for a long time. And so it's just like, let's get off that fucking stupid wheel, that hamster wheel that takes us nowhere and keeps us suffering and chasing our own tails and our own stories, and reinforcing our own veils, the veils of illusion that we've been living in, or that we've agreed to, or that we just haven't wanted to acknowledge or sweep aside because it's too painful sometimes to face the lies that we've told ourselves and that we've, agreed to, or that we believed about ourselves and about our lives and about each other and about, like our place in the world. Yeah, what we believe about the world and our place in it. Yeah, so those misperceptions and distortions of reality, those distortions of our manipulated perceptions, like, and it's okay, like we've all been through it, we're all going through it, we're all going to come through it. But yeah, it's kind of painful, like sometimes when all of a sudden we realize the bargain we made without knowing, and then it's like, oh my god, wake the fuck up and see what you've done. Holy shit, it's painful. There's so many things that come up, like around like revelations and around like the tower collapsing. It is like, wow, dark night of the soul, and that part of the journey that, man, we realize that black hole, like that we've been feeding, So we get to come back to the whole, like the wholeness of the whole. Yeah. And so that was what I was led to do about 5 years ago. Like, yeah, it was like linking the two, the inner and the outer, and the above and below, and the right and the left, and yeah, the ebb and the flow. So, yeah, just to make it into a coherent whole and to navigate and to participate more consciously in creating and appreciating our lives and our gifts and ourselves and all that's being given and all that is being offered and presented in the present. The gifts in the present. So be present to receive the gift that's here in the present. So, yeah, I love creativity and I love wordplay and I love like all the creativity and just the imagination and just the wonder and the awe and the childlike innocence. And that's why I feel like, yeah, my magical child's like a super amazing ally for me. And I never lost that connection to that part of me. Like, I hid her pretty well, but I never lost her. She's a huge part of me. So I've always kept in contact with that child in me, that child that is me. Yeah, I held on to her. I didn't always listen to her, acknowledge her, hear her, or see her. But she's always been a part of who I am, who I've always been. She helps me so much. Like, remember the magic in me, and in we, and in life, and in everything. And so, that's the joy I choose for me. That innocence and that purity and that remembering. And so bringing in my mother energy to help care for me, because that's what I need for me, is that love and that mother energy, like that can hold all things, that unifies all things, that cares for all things, and loves her children, all of her children, so deeply and so completely. And so if I feel like I'm not capable of that love, like, for me, like, I can bring in that mother part of me that can, like, help me open up to that love that I am, and that love that's here for me, that's with me, that's within me, that's always been me. And so that's been so helpful to, like, bring in that mother energy to hold, like, all those parts of me that have felt unloved, undeserving, unworthy, and unseen, not heard, and not received. So it's been a practice, a play practice, a practice, like, in action, to help me, like, really own my power and my accountability and express it in ways that serve and bless me and we. And that's in alignment with the truth in me, like with the truth of the love that I hold in me. And so, and so. So I know that I just don't know. And so as I know that I do not know, it's okay to let go. It's okay not to know. What wants to be said today and shared today and expressed today and offered today that relate to our wholeness and healing. So, yeah, before I came down here to set up my space and prepare, like, I do a little ritual, like, every single time I get on here. It's been, like, very interesting practice for me to get on here and speak the last year publicly on a public platform, with just, like, yeah, anyone can come in and see it or share it or view it or judge it or yeah, whatever, I guess, receive it. And so it has been, like, a huge, like, I felt, like, very exposed and stuff, but, like, I knew that my soul really needed this and that the world really needed this too. So it was just like, okay, I'm willing, like, to get on here and share, like, what I'm going through, to share my experience, to share, like, my perfectly imperfections, my perfectly imperfect, aspects, just my trials and my triumphs and like just my experience. Because yeah, one of the things that I was seeing last year was that like, okay, there's only so much we can do to try and convince anyone of anything, like of what we're seeing and what we perceive to be true. But maybe we can make a little more headway, or meet each other, meet each other in whole ways. I was going to say meet each other halfway, but that's just, I don't know if that resonates as well. But yeah, meet each other in whole, true ways, in true, full ways. And maybe in being a little bit like opening up to where, like we're vulnerable, or we feel vulnerable, and start to share certain things with each other. Instead of getting caught in that opposition, or in that controlled opposition, or like engineered division that keeps us at war, keeps us at war with ourselves and each other, because we want to be right, we want to convince everyone else that we're right, or we want to make the other wrong. And it's just like we've been playing in that bullshit song for way too long. So what else is possible, and what else can we choose, what else is available, and what's more true, what's really true, like what's in alignment with what we really know to be true and who we really are, instead of like, just this freaking hamster wheel treadmill that keeps us from ourselves and from seeing into who we really are and what we can choose for our well-being. And so, I do a little ritual, and I light a candle, and I just invite like what I need. Like I invite joy, I invite peace, I invite like my true full well-being. I invite love to be expressed through me. I invite peace and clarity. I invite generosity and hospitality. I invite authenticity. I invite healing, like all those things. And it's just like, it's not the same list. It's just like an, spontaneous intuition, like whatever I feel like, I'm needing right now. And like, or that I want to invite right now. I want to welcome in right now. I want to share and like just be with right now. And like everything else can exist as well. But like, specifically inviting like those qualities and access to those qualities. Yeah. So just, I get like the nervousness and anxiety sometimes of what is it going to look like? What is it going to sound like? What is it going to feel like? How is it going to be perceived? How is it going to be received? Like afraid of making mistakes, or tripping over my own words, or miscommunicating something, or just looking like a dork, or just putting myself out there. And it's just like that risk of being rejected, or misunderstood, or having something projected onto me like that isn't like, that I don't need to agree to, that I know isn't true, that's like someone else's baggage. And just, all those things. Like, it's just been a good experience and a good opportunity, and something that I got to choose for me, to share with others who might be experiencing the same things, or who will be like going through their own journey in more conscious ways. Like, and hopefully in my sharing and offering it can help us all navigate and orient, like reorientate so we can participate in more full, true, whole ways, and living life in joy, and creating the lives that we want to live, instead of like choosing those replacements, those surrogates, those addictions, those things that don't really serve us, but hey, they have a lot to teach us in a lot of ways, and we get to go through it and through our own very unique individual ways. But we can all relate to the journey, and to returning and being all we are for ourselves. There's someone who can relate with us or to us, through that experience that we share, and those experiences that we experience for ourselves in our own ways. Yeah. So, it's not something that's like really easy, but it's just something that I get to let go of sometimes. And this practice really has, like showing up and speaking, it has helped me a lot. And like, I do go back and I watch the videos, and I know the words are for me, and it really does help me, like keep me on track and focused, and the right messages come in at the right time for me. Like, it's interesting, and it helps me follow through, and it helps me be accountable, and it helps me show up for me and you. And I get to learn how to do that, and feel more self-confident. And it's just been a great practice to help me free my voice and to encourage others to free their voices and to show up as they are, and loving who they are. And it's just, it's been such a beautiful gift where it contributes to the shift, and it's something that just keeps giving and growing, and that's life, and that's living. So that's the divine creative force, and which brought me back to letting go. I guess he has a book called Power versus Force, and I've heard it mentioned oh my gosh, maybe 10 times in the last couple months. And so I'm gonna look for that book, Power versus Force. So I think it is interesting too to look at that, how we direct what we think of or what we believe power is, and how we use it and all of that. So maybe there'll be some continuity soon about that. But I was just thinking out loud. And encouragement has been a huge thing coming up for me in the last couple weeks. And on my last video I talked about moose medicine, and moose was perfect. Moose was such a perfect ally to come in at that time. And ever since, I had been on that encouragement kick, or encourage. I had made a little soul collage board, or a soul story board, with a card that had been given to me, and it was these angels of these different qualities, and that courage was on one side of the board with the cooling waters, and on the other side of the board was Venus and currency and the hand, and all of that healing, fiery energy, purifying energy, on the other side. So the dual nature and everything. And so, the encouragement and courage, having courage, feeling the fear, but willing to face the fear and show up anyway and overcome and conquer that fear. And courage doesn't mean that we're not afraid. It means, that we're still willing to show up, feel the fear, and be brave. And so, I've been really enjoying encouraging and then receiving encouragement and encouraging others. Giving that encouragement, because we all need it. And so let's show up and be each other's cheerleaders, and be our own leaders, and cheer for each other in our small wins and large wins. Even if we make a mistake, let's cheer each other on. Make those glorious mistakes okay. At least, we can acknowledge them, and we can use them. We can use them to learn and to grow and to build with. So we don't have to reject our mistakes. And we don't have to reject other people's mistakes. We don't have to punish them for their mistakes. We don't have to punish ourselves for our mistakes. And so that's just funny how that ties back into what I was going to share. Actually, I didn't plan that, but right before I came downstairs, I picked up my book in my little book pile upstairs, and just, decided to flip True Love by Thich Nhat Hanh open, and I flipped it open to Overcoming Pride. It was page 27, but I want to share this little thing with you because that just ties in so well, and it was meant to be. And so I'll receive it for myself and for my whole true full well. So, yeah, I just appreciate all of the sync winks and like the bibliomancy and the readings, the readings that we're always getting, and the downloads and the information that can always come come in and come through and come in for us in so many different ways, and that inner teacher like yeah, shows up in so many ways as well, like the reflections of that inner teacher all around, really. But yeah, that's what's so great about like the magic of play, and just being open to receive, and really being in wonder, and inviting that magic to be and to play. Yeah, to be played. So play and be played. True love, a practice for awakening the heart. I would like to tell you a story from my country. A young man went off to war, leaving his pregnant wife behind. 2 years later, he was able to return home, and the young woman went with their young son to meet her husband. They cried together out of joy. In Vietnam, in our tradition, when an event of this kind takes place, it has to be announced to the ancestors. So the young father asked his wife to go to the market to buy the things that are needed for the offering that is placed on the altar to the ancestors. Such an altar is found in every house. Each morning, we burn a stick of incense to our ancestors on this altar, and in this way we make a connection with them. Burning this incense, adorning the altar with photographs of our ancestors, and dusting the shrine off are very important gestures. These are moments in which we come in contact with our ancestors. There are people living in the world who are completely uprooted because they do not practice such a turning toward their ancestors. So the young wife went off to the market. During this time, the young father was trying to convince his child to call him daddy. The little boy refused. "Mister, you're not my daddy. My daddy is somebody else. He visits us every night, and my mommy talks to him every night, and very often she cries with him, and every time my mommy sits down, he sits down too. Every time she lies down, he lies down too." After he heard these words, the young father's happiness entirely evaporated. His heart turned into a block of ice. He felt hurt, deeply humiliated, and that is why when his wife came home, he would no longer look at her or speak a word to her. He ignored her. The woman herself began to suffer. She felt humiliated, hurt. When the offering was placed on the altar, the young father burned the incense, recited the prayers to the ancestors, and did the 4 traditional prostrations. Then he picked the mat up instead of leaving it there for his wife so she could do the 4 prostrations in her turn. In his mind, he thought that she was not qualified to present herself before the ancestors, and she was humiliated by this. After the ceremony, he didn't stay at the house to eat, but went to the village and spent the day in a bar. He tried to forget his suffering by drinking alcohol, and he did not come back to the house until very late at night. The following day, it was the same thing, and this went on for several days in a row. The young woman could not take it anymore. Her suffering was so great that in the end she threw herself in the river and drowned. When the young father heard this news, he returned to the house, and that night he was the one who went to get the lamp and lit it. Suddenly the child cried out, "Mister, mister, it's my daddy, he's come back." And he pointed to the shadow of his father on the wall. "You know, mister, my father comes every night. Mommy talks to him, and sometimes she cries, and every time she sits down, my daddy sits down too." In reality, this woman had been alone in the house too much, and every night she had talked to her shadow. "My dear one, you are so far away from me. How can I raise my child all by myself? You must come back home soon." She would cry, and of course, every time she sat down, the shadow would also sit down. Now the husband's false perception was no longer there, but it was too late. His wife was already dead. A misperception is something that can destroy an entire family. The Buddha told us a number of times that we are subject to misperceptions in our everyday life. Therefore, we have to pay close attention to our perceptions. There are people who hang on to their misperceptions for 10 or 20 years, and during this time they continue to suffer and make other people suffer. Why did the young father not want to talk this thing over with his wife? Because pride got in between them. If he had asked his wife, "Who is this person who came every night? Our child told me about him. I am suffering so much, my darling. You have to help me. Explain to me who this person is." If he had done that, his wife would have had a chance to explain and the drama could have been avoided. However, it was not only his fault, but that of his young wife as well. She could have come to him and asked him the reason for his change in attitude. "Husband, why don't you look at me anymore? Why don't you talk to me? Have I done something awful that I deserve such treatment? I am suffering so much, dear husband. You have to help me." She did not do this, and I do not want you to make the same mistake in your everyday life. We are subject to misperceptions every day, so we have to pay attention. Every time you think it is somebody else who is causing the suffering, you must remember this story. You must always check things out by going to the person in question and asking for his or her help. "Dear one, I am suffering so much. Help me, please." And so, yeah, that's what I read right before. And I was just like, oh, and I didn't really cry, but like, yeah, it just touches me like now reading it. So I am grateful for that. And what wants to be, is there anything else that wants to be offered with that? Yeah, punishing ourselves. We don't have to punish ourselves. Yeah, maybe actually there is something. Overcoming pride. Let me start with the beginning. Let's see what that has to share. So, overcoming pride, page 23. The fourth mantra is more difficult to practice. It has to do with the situation in which you are suffering yourself, and you think that your suffering has been created by the person you love most in the world. If it had been someone else who had said that to you or done that to you, without a doubt, you would be suffering less. But in this case, it is the person I love most in the world who said that to me, who did that to me, and I am suffering more. I am deeply hurt by the fact that my suffering was caused by the person I love the most. I feel like going to my room, closing the door, staying by myself, and crying. I refuse to go to him or her to ask for help. So now it is pride that is the obstacle. According to the teaching of the Buddha, in true love there is no place for pride. If you are suffering, every time you are suffering, you must go to the person in question and ask for his or her help. That is true love. Do not let pride keep you apart. If you think your love for this person is true love, you must overcome your pride. You must always go to him or her. That is why I have invented this mantra for you. Practice so as to bring about oneness of your body and mind before going to the person to say the fourth mantra. Dear one, I am suffering. Please help. This is very simple but very hard to do. I would like to tell you a story, yes. And there is a young man went off to war, leaving his pregnant wife behind, and then they were reunited. Yeah, and then there was a misunderstanding and a misperception. Yeah, assumptions. Yeah. Assumptions as well that we make. And so we either blame ourselves or we blame the other. Or we make ourselves wrong or we make the other wrong. And that's a big part of our suffering. Like that blame and shame and pride. Yeah. So the roots of unwholesome actions or unskillful actions that are the root causes, the roots of all suffering. And so, yeah, there's some remedies right there available for us. And being honest and asking for help too, or reconciliation. And sometimes, yeah, maybe it's not possible to go to that person and ask them for their help, but it is like possible to ask for help, to ask for our higher selves' help, ask for love's help, ask for God's help, ask for the help of the ancestors, ask for the help of our allies, ask for the help of the mother. The mother's always here for us. She loves us so much. She'll help us with anything. Yeah. We just need to ask and be open to receive that help that is and always is offered. We can offer that to ourselves. We can offer ourselves permission to receive it for ourselves. And we can be it for ourselves. and we can help be that for others. So I'll just leave it at that for now and invite love to come around. Yeah, again, anything that relates around that. So, how can we express care and love for ourselves, like when we're suffering? Like, do we avoid it? I mean, because we do have a lot of defense mechanisms. Sometimes we don't want to meet our suffering. We don't want to suffer. We don't want to feel our suffering. But yeah, it's just like sometimes it's a necessary thing to really honor those feelings and to honor that journey and that period of suffering that actually can help us awaken to what we really need and to what's being asked of us and to what we can ask for our well-being, and to show up for ourselves and to show up for what all we love, to show up and nurture and cultivate and honor that love. Yeah, we need to set our pride aside, and that's a really hard thing to do sometimes, because that's like our armor that we've used, and to make ourselves right. We don't want to feel wrong because we've always felt so wrong or not right. So I can understand, and I have compassion and I have empathy for where we're stuck or where we're hiding or where we're rejecting ourselves. Yeah. But so yeah, I think I would like to share a little bit from letting go. And so I talked about it in my last couple of videos, I think, where I had opened it up to page 43 or so, and it was like healing the past and letting go of the past. And I think this is from the Anatomy of Emotions. And I had been reading about generosity and giving. And yeah, it's just kind of funny, like all the synchronicity, like what I'm in and what I'm focusing on and what I'm like attracting to me as far as like what I'm here to learn, my lessons, and what I'm here to teach. And so it's like learning and teaching simultaneously. It's like it is kind of a trip in so many ways. Like it is like embracing the unknown and letting go, and it's okay not to know, and letting go of trying to like make it fit and make it flow, and trying to force the flow, and just letting that go. Like, yeah, it's just interesting just how it goes. But yeah, just I had read page 43 to like finished that chapter, and then read on to the next chapter of apathy and depression, and then went into grief a little bit yesterday. And actually that's like the page that I just flipped it open to now is Healing Loss, page 76 and 77 in the chapter of grief. And so that's what wants to be shared right now, so that's what we're going to share. So, handling loss. Because of the nature of attachment, the first state preceding the actual experiencing of loss is that of fear of loss. This is usually defended in one of two ways. One is to increase the intensity of the attachment by ever-persistent attempts to strengthen the bonds. This approach is based on the fantasy that the greater the bond, the less likelihood of loss. However, this is the very maneuver that often precipitates loss in personal relationships, because the other person struggles to be free of the possessive attachment and the amount of restrictive control they feel being placed upon them. That's interesting. Let me read that again. So this approach is based on the fantasy. So yeah, one way is to increase the intensity of the attachment by ever-persistent attempts to strengthen the bonds. This approach is based on the fantasy that the greater the bond, the less likelihood of loss. However, this is the very maneuver that often precipitates loss in personal relationships, because the other person struggles to be free of the possessive attachment and the amount of restrictive control they feel being placed upon them. Thus, because what we hold in mind tends to manifest, the fear of a loss can, paradoxically, be the mechanism of bringing about that loss. The second way that fear of loss is handled is by the psychological mechanism of denial, which is in common language called playing ostrich. We see this around us every day in its various forms of refusing to face the inevitable. All the warning signs are there, but the person does not take heed. Thus, the man who is obviously in the process of losing his job tends not to notice. The partners in a marriage that is going down the drain take no corrective action. The person with a serious disease ignores all the symptoms and avoids medical attention. The politicians fail to look at social problems, hoping they will go away. Yeah, I'll just let that be there. The motorist ignores the ominous warning signals of a misbehaving engine. We have all experienced regret that we didn't pay attention to the warning signals of trouble ahead, or to the bargains that we've made without knowing. Yes. So to handle the fear of loss, we have to look at what purpose the external person or object serves in our life. What emotional need is being fulfilled? What emotions would arise were we to lose the object or the person? Loss can be anticipated, and we can handle the various fears associated with the sense of loss by disassembling the emotional complexes that they represent and letting go of the individual component feelings. Let's say, for example, that you have a pet dog to which you have been attached for many years. It is obvious that old Rover is getting older. You find that you don't like to think about his advanced age, feeling uncomfortable at the prospect of his death and putting it out of mind. As you catch yourself doing this, you realize that these feelings are warning signals and that you are not handling the emotional situation. And so you ask yourself, what purpose is the dog serving in my life? What is his emotional service to me? Love, companionship, devotion, amusement, and diversion. Will losing the dog leave these personal emotional needs unfulfilled? In looking at this, some of the fear can be acknowledged and relinquished. Once the fear is let go of, you don't have to resort to denial and pretend to yourself that Rover will live forever. Another emotion associated with grief and mourning is that of anger. The loss of that which is important frequently brings up a feeling of rage which may be projected onto the world, society, individuals, and ultimately God, who is held to be responsible for the nature of the universe. Anger results from prior refusal to accept the fact that all relationships and possessions in this life are transitory. Even the physical body, which is our biggest attachment, eventually has to be relinquished, as everyone is aware. We feel that what has become important or comforting to us is a permanent attachment. Consequently, when that illusion is threatened, there is anger, resentment, and self-pity, feelings which can result in chronic bitterness. Impotent rage is associated with the desire to change the nature of the world and the impossibility of doing so. In facing this fact of existence, a major loss can therefore bring about a shift in our philosophical position. One major loss can awaken us to the nature of all attachments and all relationships, or we may again deny the obvious fact that all relationships are transitory and furiously re-intensify existing bonds to compensate for the loss. One major loss can awaken us to the nature of all attachments and all relationships, or we may again deny the obvious fact that all relationships are transitory and furiously re-intensify existing bonds to compensate for the loss. A part of handling denial of the inevitability of loss is seeing through attempts at manipulation. In fantasy, the mind tries to develop tactics so as to avoid the loss. This may take the form of becoming a gooder, or more hardworking, more honest, more persevering, or more loyal. In religious persons, this may take the form of trying to manipulate God by promises and bargains. In relationships, it may take the form of overcompensatory behavior. The spouse becomes ever more dutiful, loving, and attentive in an attempt to prevent a breakup. The inattentive husband suddenly starts bringing home gifts and flowers instead of getting to the root cause of the problem. When the denial breaks down, the manipulations have not worked, and the fear has been passed through, then the depression itself, the actual process of mourning and grief, takes place. All of these emotional stages can be worked through much more rapidly by the process of letting go, in which the inevitability of the emotion of grief is surrendered to and replaced by a willingness to let go of resistance and let the process pass through and complete itself. There can be a decision to let go of resisting the grief. Instead of denial and resistance, you plunge into it and get over it. You have a good cry over old Rover or the lost relationship. Associated with the feeling of grief is always a variable amount of guilt. This is based on the fantasy that the loss represents a punishment or that a different attitude or behavior would have prevented it from happening. Associated with the feeling of grief is always a variable amount of guilt. This is based on the fantasy that the loss represents a punishment or that a different attitude or behavior would have prevented it from happening. Unless it is relinquished, the guilt can then recycle and refuel the anger and rage. The unacknowledged and unrelinquished rage may be projected onto others in the environment in the form of blame. Blame projected onto other relationships may then compound the loss by bringing about further loss. This happens frequently between marital partners as a result of the death of a child. It has been reported that the divorce rate among parents who have lost children is as high as 90%. Because of the projection of blame, a severe loss is then compounded by another severe loss, that of a marital partner. An example of this type of reaction is the case of a 40-year-old woman. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, it's interesting though. And I will return in just a moment. Cheers. I'm back. So, yeah, I just shared a little bit of letting go. And it's interesting too, like how it all ties in, like blame and punishment. And also, like, there's nothing worse, I feel like, than the silent treatment and being shunned or being ignored or being excluded or being canceled or being, censored or exiled and, like excluded from the group, from the tribe, from the home. Yeah. Just being unworthy, the unworthy, worthy stories. And so that does, tie in a little bit to what I've been working with and playing with and working through, and to neutralize, that poison and actually synthesize a remedy that actually brings new joy and really creating something beautiful out of what's been so painful. And I feel like I'm doing that. I realized, a couple days ago, seeing certain things in a new light. Because some of the old misperceptions and distortions have been cleared. And everything is a little bit more clear, how I'm seeing myself and how I'm seeing others and how I'm seeing the external. It's a little more clear. And it is definitely so much more it's so much more than what we think it is. And so, I'll just leave it at that. But the silent treatment and being shunned and being cut off, that's super painful, and that does feel like an excruciating punishment. And of course we'd want to avoid that and do everything we can to be a part of the group. And so I can understand how we can get in our own way and we can actually manipulate ourselves into things that don't serve us, or the things that don't honor us, and the things that really don't nourish us and nurture us and turn us on, help us turn that life energy on, our life turn-ons, so sometimes we're choosing the things that deplete us and drain us, but we think that we need that in certain ways because of the ways we've been trained to operate and get our ego needs met. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'll just leave it at that. And I wanted to share page 55. I may have a bookmark in here. I'm not exactly sure. So we'll just pick a place and begin. See what happens here. Okay. So, that which in the beginning seemed formidable and overwhelming has now been surmounted and handled, with the resultant increase of aliveness and well-being. This increase in self-esteem then spills over into other areas of life, and the increase in confidence results in greater material abundance and capability in vocational functioning. On this level, love takes the form of sharing and encouraging others, and our activities are constructive instead of destructive. The energy radiated out is then positive and attractive to others, resulting in a constant positive feedback. Once we have experienced this progression up the scale of emotions in any one particular area, we now begin to realize that it can be done in other areas of limitation in our lives. Behind all of the I can'ts are merely I won'ts. The I won'ts mean I'm afraid to, or I'm ashamed to, or have too much pride to try for fear I might fail. But that is anger at ourselves and circumstances engendered by pride. Acknowledging and letting go of these feelings brings us up to courage, and with that, finally acceptance and an inner peacefulness, at least as it regards the area which has been surmounted. Apathy and depression are the prices we pay for having settled for and bought into our smallness. It's what we get for having played the victim and allowed ourselves to be programmed. It's the price we pay for having bought into negativity. It's what results from resisting the part of ourselves that is loving, courageous, and great. It results from allowing ourselves to be invalidated by ourselves or others. It is the consequence of holding ourselves in a negative context. In reality, it is only a definition of ourselves that we have unwittingly allowed to happen. The way out is to become more conscious. What does it mean to become more conscious? To begin with, becoming more conscious means to start looking for the truth for ourselves instead of blindly allowing ourselves to be programmed, whether from without or by an inner voice within the mind, which seeks to diminish and invalidate, focusing on all that is weak and helpless. To get out of it, we have to accept the responsibility that we have bought into the negativity and have been willing to believe it. The way out of this, then, is to start questioning everything. There are many models of the mind. One of the most recent has been that of the computer. We can look at the mind's concepts, thoughts, and belief systems as programs. Because they are programs, they can be questioned, canceled, and reversed. Positive programs can replace negative ones if we so choose. The smaller aspect of ourselves is very willing to accept negative programming. If we look at the source of our thoughts, begin to identify their origins, and stop the vanity of labeling them as mine and therefore sacrosanct, we notice that thoughts can be looked at objectively. We see that their origins were often the early childhood training from parents, family, and teachers, as well as dribbles and drabbles of information we picked up from playmates, newspapers, movies, television, radio, church, novels, and the automatic input from our senses. All of this went on unwittingly without our having exercised any conscious choice. Not only that, but out of our unconsciousness, ignorance, innocence, and naivety, plus the nature of the mind itself, we ended up as the composite of all the negative garbage prevalent in the world. Furthermore, we concluded that it applied to us personally. As we become more aware, we begin to realize that we have a choice. We can stop giving authority to all the mind's thoughts, begin to question them, and find out if there is really any truth in them for ourselves. The feeling state of apathy is associated with the belief, I can't. The mind doesn't like to hear it, but in reality, most I can'ts are I won'ts. The reason the mind doesn't want to hear this is because I can't is a cover-up for other feelings. These feelings can be brought to awareness by posing the hypothetical question to oneself, is it true that I won't rather than I can't? If I accept that I won't, what situations will be brought up and how do I feel about them? As an example, let's say we have a belief system that we can't dance. We say to ourselves, perhaps that's a cover-up. Maybe the truth is that I don't want to and I won't. The way we can find out what the feelings are is to envision ourselves as going through the process of learning to dance. As we do that, all of the associated feelings now start to come up: embarrassment, pride, awkwardness, the sheer effort of learning a new skill, and the reluctance about the time and energy involved. As we replace I can't with I won't, we uncover all of these feelings which can then be surrendered. We see that learning to dance means we have to be willing to let go of pride. So we get to be willing. We get to be willing. Yeah. So that just makes me think, like, in a way, that's like something that we can sacrifice. We can sacrifice that I can't or that I won't. We can sacrifice that small payoff to receive, like, the gift we really need. So we see that learning to dance means we have to be willing to let go of pride. We look at the cost and ask ourselves, am I willing to continue to pay this price? Would I be willing to let go of the fear of not succeeding? Would I be willing to let go of resisting the effort required? Would I be willing to let go of the vanity so that I could allow myself to be awkward as a learner? Could I let go of my stinginess and smallness and be willing to pay for the lessons and give the time? As all of the associated feelings are surrendered, it becomes very clear that the real reason is unwillingness, not incapacity. It must be remembered that we are free to acknowledge and surrender our feelings, and we are free not to surrender. As we examine our I can'ts and find out that they are really I won'ts, it doesn't mean that we have to let go of the negative feelings that result in the I won'ts. We are perfectly free to refuse to let go. We are free to hang on to negativity as long as we want. There is no law that says we have to give it up. We are free agents. But it makes a big difference in our self-concept to realize that I won't do something is quite a different feeling than to think that I'm a victim and I can't. For instance, we can choose to hate somebody if we want. We can choose to blame them. We can choose to blame circumstances. But being more conscious and realizing that we are freely choosing this attitude puts us in a higher state of consciousness and therefore closer to a greater power and mastery than being the helpless victim of a feeling. Blame. One of the biggest blocks to overcome in getting out of depression and apathy is that of blame. Blame is a whole subject in itself. Looking into it is rewarding. Yes, it is. To begin with, there are a lot of payoffs to blame. We get to be innocent, we get to enjoy the self-pity, we get to be the martyr and the victim, and we get to be the recipient of sympathy. Perhaps the biggest payoff of blame is that we get to be the innocent victim and the other party is the bad one. We see this game played out in the media constantly, such as the endless blame games, dramatized in a multitude of controversies, mudslinging, character assassinations, and lawsuits. In addition to the emotional payoff, blame has considerable financial benefits. Therefore, it is a tempting package to be the innocent victim, as it is often financially rewarded. But how much do we have to suffer, and how much do we need to attach to that virtuous victim mentality and all those programs and those stories? And so I'm actually really tired of them. So I've been writing new stories. I've been speaking new stories. I've been living new stories. I've been creating new stories. I've been asking for new stories. And actually, that's one of the things I have in front of me right now. I have little note cards that remind me different things. And sometimes I'll write them out at the beginning of the cycle, of a new moon or something, or sometimes it just spontaneously, I write down some things to help me for the week or for whatever, however long it is, and what I want to focus on, and just what I'm led in my healing process to choose for myself and to work with. And it's building a temple, and it's the construction phase, totally construction phase. So, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. The construction phase. Yeah, there's the destruction phase, and then there's the reconstruction phase. Yeah, and so, yeah, willing to put my energy into things that support and sustain my energy, and do it constructively. Yeah, but sometimes there's something to be said about the value of the destructive phase. Yeah, because that is a necessary part of it. And sometimes we have to blow our shit up. Sometimes it does need to happen like that. The tower just collapses under our own big heads, who we think we are, our false image of ourselves. And sometimes we fall head first, and that hurts, It's okay to come back down to earth and be humble, be humbled. Yeah. And so, my little note card here that I have, it says love letters, trust, courage, and faith, authentic intimacy, surrender, allowance, letting go, composting, loving kindness, honesty, transparency, integrity, sovereignty, healing, instinct, injury, through compassion, acceptance, grace, and humility. And then my other card here I just grabbed it today because I felt a little nudge to bring it down here, and so yay! I didn't know how I was gonna share it, but it's just it's just funny. The mystery unfolds through all our ways of being. So that's so funny and great. This one says, write yourself a love note. Tell yourself a good story. Celebrate, praise, bless, and sing yourself a love song. Relax and be in meditation, presence, and reception. Ask yourself some questions and play in your imagination. Visualize your intentions and all the gifts there are. Yeah. Work, play together, or yes, through and with divination. Remember who we are. And so, yeah, it's kind of fun to choose. So I choose that today. And that's on my list of love I get to choose for me and we. So writing myself a love note and telling myself a good story, writing some love letters. And yeah, that was great because it's so true love. And this is perfect for me. So I have been struggling. There are some relationships with some people that I deeply care about and love. And I have been suffering. I haven't been clear on how to proceed or what to do or what to choose or how to make it better. But it's really not my job to make it better. It's just, something I get to show up for, and I get to ask for help, from this other loved one. And I'm willing. So I think this week I'm going to choose to write a love letter for myself and for her, and release the outcome and be willing to relinquish the payoffs, any kind of payoffs, any small payoffs that there have been or there were, because I am really willing to show up and nurture the relationships that are important to me. And if pride is one of the things that is getting in the way of that, I am totally willing to relinquish the pride and let it go and let it die. But so I hope that was helpful, and I hope that serves and blesses you and me and we and every being. And I just want to share one more thing. So it's been a good week for encouragement and for courage and bravery and feeling the fears and showing up and choosing love anyway. Choosing love always. And it was so strange. Yesterday I had all of the old shit coming up. I was it was weird because it was all coming up at the same time. And it's okay, this is coming up for me today. It's I get to just face it, and I just get to witness it, and I get to make the space for it, and I get to meet myself and what I'm feeling with love and compassion and empathy, instead of getting tired of it again, you freaking old stories, fuck off already, So just remembering oh yes, ego, it's okay, I need you too, you're gonna come along for this ride with me, these new levels of awareness and higher levels of consciousness that we're moving into. I still need you, ego, but it was that self-preservation, that fear of losing control, and it's it's just interesting to watch certain things and stories and mental streams and agendas and attachments come up, and watching those things and those fears and those anxieties, and just remembering what is really true, and just saying, thank you, story. Thanks for reminding me that I have this ally that's always speaking, and I can listen, and I can receive what I need, and I'm open to embrace the change and the opportunity. So thank you, dear ego. I'm not leaving you behind. I have a job for you. And that is to be kind and loving, loving kindness to myself, and honoring my true currency and my wealth, all my wealth, and the parts of myself that I rejected and denied and dismissed and devalued, they actually hold a lot of wealth, and integrating those parts of myself into a harmonious whole, actually helps me honor my true, full, whole wealth and my whole self, my whole being, and all of my gifts and the currency that I have to give. My life force energy, my creativity, my fertility, my love for all of me. All of those things. So enjoying like the sweetness of life and what I'm creating and what I get to choose for me, what I get to show up for, and I am seeing it come into being, and all of the fruits and those things, those fears are coming up too, because I've been afraid of success and of shining my light and owning my power and being seen like in that light. I've been terrified of that. And so I get to work with some more challenges and just let it be. And just remembering the full and the 0 point and our return home to we. And just the symbol of the circle with the point in the center, like how that's the self in relation to the whole, and how that is actually a symbol of the sun. And could be the soul, sun, soul. And just all the things that are possible, and the zero, the full that holds it all, the full that is nothing but holds it all, and the instrument, the vessel that empties itself so that it can be filled with spirit, and spirit can move through and express and regenerate and offer itself. So I'm going to contemplate and digest and percolate. But I did want to, just share a couple of things from my journal. And I finished yesterday this sketchbook. It's got about 5 weeks of goodness in it, like freaking amazing nuggets in here, I'm sure. Like I'll refer to as I continue in my journey. And I flipped open to this page, and I'll just read you what we have here. Life is sweet. Life is so very good to me. So good to me and we. So good, so right, so free. I had a great day today. I was tired, but I was happy and willing to show up and choose what I can. Yes, I can. Yes, life. I'll do what I can. And show up for what I love, all that I love, all I am. All I am, all this love. We are love, so be love. All my love for all of me and we. All my love through all of me. All my love for all beings. All my love, all God's love for all of me and we. And that was on the 20th. That was on the 30th, June 30th. Hello, it is now July. Yes, we're 7 months in to 2021 now. So July 1st. Day 21 of 21 days. Om Ram Ramaya Swaha. So I did just finish my 21-day practice, my 21-day discipline that I got to choose for me. And it was such a beautiful gift. And I was just like tripping out throughout the whole 21 days. Like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. I get to choose this for me. I get to wake up and start my day, and offering this service to all, for the integrity of all, for the integrity of the whole, for the integrity of my whole soul, and for the integrity of all. The world soul. And just all the gifts that I received from it, which I'll probably share next time, and I got to share a little song in a 20-minute video, and that felt really good to choose. And just finding new levels of expression and authentic expression, and allowing that to come through and to be expressed through me. To allow the messages to come through me and to receive it for myself and for love, for us all. So that's like just the most beautiful part of it all. Like true abundance and true prosperity, true fullness, true wholeness, receiving ourselves as we are, as we've been, as we'll be. Yeah. Honoring that whole and that totality, and honoring the dual nature and that duality, and coming into union and alignment and divine timing and ordering. So bless, praise, thank, all those things. Courage, faith, and encouragement, trust, grace, and compassion, strength, mercy, and empathy, love, kindness, and integrity, boundaries, space, and sovereignty, being true to my love, being true to me and we, being all this love for all, so be. Let go and be free, love is free always. Nurture, nourish, honor, love, serve, love always. Talk about the new birth and the new life coming through. Welcome, reception, life needs you too. Blue goddess, blue Terra, blue lotus, blue star seed, blue sun spiral star. Sirius, Lemuria, love who you are, blue dragon, Lakshmi, Durga, Kali, the star. Sarasvati, Parvati, Radha, Shakti, Sophia, Athena, the warriors of the light and our rainbow bodies. Friendly fire, love is one, Om Soham. So what do I get to choose today? What am I feeling drawn to today? What am I feeling, and what does love need? What can I choose for my true full well-being? What can I offer and contribute today? What can I open to and freely receive? What can I surrender and let go of today? What can I welcome, bless, thank, and integrate? What can I move towards? What can I create? What can I nurture? What can I be present to show fully up for? What can I value, honor, and appreciate? What can I allow and release so we all can prosper? What can I allow myself to see? What can I give myself permission to be? What can I honor and what can I free? What can I let go of so my love will be free? What can I attend to? What does love need? What would serve love through service of the whole's integrity? Practice non-attachment, witnessing, observing. Wake up and play, all are worthy and deserving. Let them sort out their own dirty laundry, know it's legit and part of the journey. World soul, the return, the journey home, being at home in ourselves, here we are, here love is, here I am, here in the present, here as the gift. Forgiveness, forgive them, for they know not. Empathy, empathy is virtue in action. We do not need to waive our rights to be empathic. Mercy, relinquishing the need to correct, punish, or withhold love from me or we. Compassion, witness, hold space. Be receptivity, trust, faith, grace, strength, peace, and clarity. Loving kindness, integrity, healing to make whole. Chop wood, carry water, speak, praise, encourage, bless, cheer, and sing. Pray and offer well wishes for you, me, and we. Create art, create peace, create new blessings, new choices, new lessons, new life, new opportunities through whole new, full, and true ways. New ways of relating, living, and being, and cooperating consciously. Listening, silence, breathing, witnessing, observing, expressing, sharing, offering, cultivating, contributing, movement, stretching, attending, intending, responding, learning, engaging, surrendering, receiving, forgiving, being, dreaming, awakening, continuing, journeying, reminding, suspending, and remembering who we are. Doing my best to trust and get out of my own way, I am willing to meet love, meet her always. Being the light, creating the light, shining my light, holding the light, radiance, goodness, shine forth, love always. Be bright, you are the star, embody your light. Love who you are. The dog star, Sirius B, wolf people, wolf pups, wolf clan, wolf teacher, wild woman, wild me and we, running free. Skunk and moose, yes, self-esteem, self-respect, project self-respect, self-esteem, self-worth, and responsibility. Joy from the deepest part, the depths of one's being, a job well done, the soul's deepest desires. Feeling good about ourselves, share with love, share with others. No need to bully, torment, or overpower others when our sense of self is intact. Nonchalance is where it's at to help us neutralize the psychic attack. or the emotional attack or the bullshit attack. Yeah, just play back. Neutralize the blowback and the backdraft and just maneuver and sidestep. Yeah. Play back. Creative storytelling, love letters, fire codes, simplicity, true fullness, allow divine wisdom to emerge and unfold. Looking at goals, dreams, pursuits, choices, and beliefs about what I can do and about what I can't do. Looking at apathy, fear, and grief, just get out of my own way. Let go of resistance, let go of expectation, let go of agendas, let go of preferences, let go of fears, let go of perfection, false ideals. Let go of old stories, roles, attachments, and myths. Let go of all that keeps me from choosing and receiving the love, the nourishment, the essentials, the joy, growth, and opportunities that support and honor my soul, my being, my mission, and gifts. I am willing, so it is, and so it shall be. Let it go, let it be. Love is always free. So that is interesting. That I can't is usually an I won't because I'm afraid. So let go of pride, let go of fear, let go of expectation, agenda, programs, and attachments. Choose to enjoy and appreciate where I'm at. Here I am, the gift in the present. Thanks, love. Love always. Project self-respect, nonchalance, and having fun. Get over yourselves, you big fool. Laugh at yourself and let yourself go. Let yourself go. Silly being so damn silly. Silly damn fools. All fools. Silly, lovable, damnable fools. Lovable goobers and amazing fools. OMG, the resolution. The resolution to my tarot card reading. The Fool. I so get to remember to laugh and not to take myself and my energy or the ego judgments I make, the assumptions that are made about my energy, my emotions, my image, my expression, and the way I or others perceive them. So stop taking it so damn seriously. Really, it's all okay. I don't need to hyperfixate or fix or manipulate anything. Break my addictions, the cycle of blame, guilt, pride, envy, vanity, apathy, anger, and shame. Blame, resentment, depression, disappointment, fixated hope, aversion, and greed. And then that's my last page of this journal. It's so small. I had to fit it in there. So, this disappointment, fixated hope, aversion, and greed, self-pity, sorrow, pain, and melancholy. The martyr, victim, orphan, outsider, rescuer, saboteur, caregiver, super spiritual ego, guard, judge, miser, beggar, whore. Yeah, all those characters. So they're going to be recast. Yeah. And I think too, just remembering that it is like a play and that there are all these energies at play. And we can like look at some of the patterns and we can like view it through an impersonal lens. And that's like super helpful sometimes, especially like when it feels like really super personal. Like so we can step back and open to looking at it in a different way, through a different lens, at a different angle or a different perspective. And that's how we change our minds, and that's how we change our reality. That's how we change our belief. That's how we change our perception. It's how we change our own minds. And so let's be willing to open our minds and change our own minds and change our own lives. We don't need someone else to do it for us. Like our soul is our own greatest teacher and our soul has the answers. Our soul is our best guide. And there are so many great and beautiful and amazing teachers and helpers and allies out there that can help us find the courage and go deep inside. There are so many amazing healers to help us heal ourselves. The healers don't heal us. The healers activate that part within us, that healer within us that is capable of healing. And so I just wanted to offer that as well. And so we all get to help each other and show up for each other, and we get to play different parts for each other. And that's the amazing part, and one of the amazing parts of all this, of the journey, and realizing and coming back home to ourselves and realizing that we were the love that we needed, and it's always been who we are, who we've been. Even though we've been playing at being something else, maybe, And so, like, I feel like it's a good time to, like, let go of the need to blame ourselves or others and actually, like, see how this is happening for us, and like, really be willing to acknowledge, like, the things that don't really serve us, or just, like, look into them a little more. Um, like, this, as far as, like, the small pay-ups go, like, and us rejecting our own greatness, like, because we've been so embarrassed about our smallness, like, why have we been, recreating all that, like, pain and suffering, just because of our pride? I mean, like, and there's, like, there is a lot of manipulation, and we have manipulated ourselves, and we have been very manipulated. And so it's just time, like, to come back home to ourselves and forgive ourselves and stop punishing ourselves for we didn't know, forgive ourselves for we knew not what we did or what we were doing. And so it's just like, yeah, give ourselves a break, give ourselves a pat on the back. We did our best we could, the best we knew how. But yeah, now we get to show up for ourselves in new ways, and we get to choose how we're gonna do that, like, or allow that for ourselves. So it's my wish, yeah, that everyone can find that joy and that peace within themselves, and that everyone may be free of their suffering, freed from their suffering, that all beings will know peace, that all beings will know ease, that all beings will know grace, that all beings will remember the love that they are and the love they can be, and the preciousness and the sacredness of every life that's a part of me, we, thee, and she. All things connected, related, independent and interdependent, interconnected and connected. Yeah, love always, always, always. So blessings and love to you and your ways and your journey of healing, and you, back to you, through all of your ways, and through all of your pathways, all of your journeys. Yeah, may you discover all the love and the gold and the treasure that you've been seeking, because that same love is seeking you. That same love needs you too. So embrace the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 0 and everything. So, love y'all. Be well for yourself. Be love for yourself. Hold yourself. Hold yourself with love. And yeah, really honor that well that holds all of that love that you need for yourself, your whole true full self. And thank you to the mother and to the father and to the child and to this, like, alchemical marriage and this union and this healing that is taking place on all sides, from the generations before us to the generations and that follow us, that come before, that are behind us. Yes, may we all be free. May we all know peace. May we all know joys and be free of our suffering. May all beings know joy. May all beings know peace. May all beings know who they are. All right. Blessings and love. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.